And we are live for another episode of the Freedom Series here. And today we've got special guest Haami Williams from Wycon Concreting in Geelong, Victoria, who's actually been a client of the Game Changers for the past, I think, 18 or so months now. If you're watching this live from wherever you are around the world, welcome. If you're watching the replay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We encourage you throughout to post any questions you've got in the comments. My team's going to be monitoring those. So we'd love to get any questions you've got, business related, answered on today's show. Haami, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Barry. Thank you. I definitely don't look as like I'm in as great a place as you are with what's in the background there.
Yeah, I can't complain. And actually, I did sneak a little surf in just before. If I go around this way a little bit, you can see my board just drying out. Now, I'm not going to lie. There's a nice easterly coming in here in Perth, and the waves are pumping. Mate, so Melbourne's Metro Melbourne's just recently gone back into lockdown, I heard, as of last night. It's funny, we've had two guests on today that are both from Melbourne. I said in yesterday's show, it's amazing, the guests and the synergies and the way this is all beautifully playing out. How are you feeling about that?
You know, it's pretty interesting. It's funny because last night was the first sign that today they're putting up, you know, it's like they're putting like they're putting like a border security in on the roads. So people from Melbourne, they're not letting them into Geelong. So it is interesting times, and obviously, I don't know. I have my views on it, and how do we stop a virus? I don't know. Well, I mean, we can limit it, but at some point it's got to take hold. So, you know, I'm glad that I'm in Geelong, and that at the moment we have limited exposure.
Yeah.
Not locked down.
But obviously there is an aspect of being affected as well, though, right? Because obviously Melbourne is quite close. Yeah.
I think for us...
It's funny. I saw a thing this morning from, I think it's the president of Indonesia, and it says Corona is like your wife. Initially you try to control it, then you realize you can't, and you learn just to live with it.
Absolutely. And, you know, my sort of theory is, I've been saying to the guys around here, I said, we're not in lockdown, but how long is it going to be? Like, is it just 2 weeks, or is it going to be a week? It's just a matter of time before it gets here, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, mate, you run a concreting business there in Geelong, quite successful now. Let's just, for those who haven't met you before and your big heart, how did this all kind of start for you?
Concreting or getting involved with the Game Changers?
No, I guess business in general, concreting. Because you're you're an ex-AFL footy star. And for those of you in America, Australian rules football, the oblong shake one that you kick off the ground, not the football that you guys call soccer over there.
Let's not say I'm an AFL footy star, but I have been on an AFL list, and I was, right up until my late 20s, sport was something that was what I enjoyed learning in my life.
Yeah.
I was very dedicated to the work that was required. Whether was I dedicated enough to play at the elite level? No, I was not. I was there. I was capable of being there on the lists, but playing for a long period of time, no, I was not. So, but at a point in my career, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and I'm very family oriented, and I wanted to make sure that I was around him. And even though it was only in Melbourne, I felt like I needed to be in Geelong. So, that was one of the big choices I made in my life, and I'll always stand by that. And from there, I was always really heavily involved in learning about fitness and performance nutrition and strength and conditioning. And so my first natural steps was to go into personal training. And I did that for a bit of time. And, I'm assuming that I was meant to be a business person my whole life growing up. Even as a kid, I used to go knocking on doors. It could have been to do with money, or knocking on doors, asking for jobs and stuff like that. But got into personal training and did that for a few years, but then started getting involved in coaching sport and things like that as well, because I don't know, I have this affinity for wanting to help people achieve things and have and really do have this capacity to merge individuals into a team to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
And I just got out of personal training and fell into concreting with someone that I played football with. and I loved the physical part of it. You know, a lot of people say to me, geez, it's a tough job, but that's what I loved about it. I needed it as I transitioned out of training.
It's really interesting what you shared there too, because you've got a quite an interesting business model, right? Coming from the concrete background or in the concreting industry, I wouldn't say that your business operates the way that many other concreting businesses do, or many other trades businesses. And the funny thing is at the Game Changers, we do a fair bit of work with tradies. And one, common complaint that we get is like, we can't find good staff. We can't find reliable staff. And concreting is one of the few trades industries that doesn't require any form of certification. So therefore, it can attract employees that don't necessarily have the highest skill set. It can attract, right, or the highest degree of education, so forth.
Yes.
So therefore, potentially more unreliable than, say, some other trades or some of the businesses that require a lot longer certification, a lot more certainty in a career path. But you've managed to kind of take that passion and drive that you have around sport and around team building and implemented that into your business in such a way where you're building a phenomenal culture, high retention rate, staff who show up that actually give a shit and produce a very, very high quality work. Like, was that always a desire or a dream for you to kind of, I guess, create transformation within your employees? Or is that something that's come along later for you?
No, that definitely came along later for me. I think naturally, my father, bless his soul, who died when I was 25, he was an incredibly, things had to be done perfectly. You know, he was a tradie himself, but even as a kid, when he'd do work around the home, it used to drive me crazy how perfect things needed to be done. But, when I was in 10, 11 and 12, he started buying me models and, and I had to put them together and they had to be perfectly painted and the decals had to be perfect.
Really?
Yeah, yep. And, and I was reading plans. And
I'm that dad. I do that with my boys. I'm just gonna say.
But I didn't realise until later that those things were a big part of why when I came to concreting or even carpentry, it was easy for me to read through plans and follow instructions. But also accepting poor tradesmanship was just totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I think that has really been the core of the success of our business, the quality of our tradesmanship.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I went through some steps that actually the evolution of the business and how we go about looking at employees, because really prior to the last couple of years, it was all I led the team and I educated the whole team. And now it's about, what's the next step? How do I lead the team, but how do our leaders educate and lead the next generation for us as well?
Yeah.
And however long that may last.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicely put. Nicely put. And it's a very interesting subject I want to dive into in a second. Before I do, if you are watching this live, welcome. So grateful that you're here. Let us know that you're watching. Give us a little wave or hit the like button. And also too, would love any questions that you have around building businesses that work without you, creating more profitability, more fun, more fulfillment, and so forth as well. I'd love to utilize the time that myself and Haami are here this afternoon or this morning or this evening, wherever you're calling in from. So culture is an interesting thing. I had a phenomenal interview yesterday morning with a guy, Darius, who has got a unique story. He's been involved with a lot of businesses. His most recent business was a company that they took over. He acquired it with a couple of other business partners, 30 odd employees. They grew it to over 1,000 in a bit over 3 years' time and exited last year. And when I spoke to him, their first growth rate from, I think it was like 30 to 300 in either 12 months or 18 months, it was less than 2 years. It was very, very quick. They experienced no growing pains at all. Now, they experienced growing pains, he said, the next 18 months when they grew from 300 to 1,000 employees. But the reason they didn't experience growing pains was around culture, and more in particular is around values. I know this is a conversation we've had a lot, and I'm curious to kind of understand, where was business at for you a few years ago? Because when we start talking culture or start talking values, people, I see there's a few schools of thought. there's either this school of thought of like, oh, that's all well and good and it feels good and it's kind of fluffy and we maybe need to write our days and stick them on the wall, but it doesn't bring us in money. It doesn't bring us in profitability or revenue. Like, why do we need to worry about it? Let's just go and build funnels or make sales or do more quotes and hustle. Then there's the other school of thoughts, which is kind of like, oh, like we've done our vision, mission, values, but it's up on the wall. Don't the team members know it? Right. And then obviously there's the people that understand the seriousness of it and how it honestly is a foundation for building a phenomenal business. Yet it's not beanbags and table tennis tables and a fridge full of Red Bull, right? And drinks on a Friday night. That's not culture, right? That's not culture. What was culture like for you and your organization a few years ago?
When a few years ago for me, look, being on site, it made a huge difference. And when I am there cracking the whip all the time, of course it's totally different. And any business owner will know that. When you are on site or you're doing the work or you're in there assisting with the work, it's always happening fast. Well, it's always happening faster. But for me, like I didn't even know what my values were 2 years ago before I started with the Game Changers. I knew that I expected things a certain way, but at no point did I sort of realise what values mattered to me as a person and how my business was an extension of that. I didn't know, and I hadn't even thought about it at that time. So it's been compared to now, where on a weekly basis, our guys have to nominate other team members who have represented our values. Whatever they might be, the behaviours that stand for that. So then we can reward that and they understand what those behaviours are on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I remember the story about, I can't remember the guy's name, the dog where they used to ring the bowl with the fork. Pavlov's dog and train the dog that the bowl rings, the food's delivered. Well, later on, they stop putting food. They ring the bowl, the dog still comes. It's like, rewarding staff where, look for times when they're doing the great thing to reward them. Don't look for times they're doing the wrong things to scold them.
Yeah.
You start to enforce, like everybody, I believe in our heart of hearts, we want to be doing the right thing. We want to feel like we belong to something. We want to feel fulfilled and passionate and inspired by what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yet I think people just lack the knowledge of what that actually is, or the direction of getting there. And that's where I think leadership through culture development versus leadership through hierarchy and accountability. Like often like the questions like, oh, how do I get my staff to be more accountable? It's like, you don't get your staff to be more accountable. Like you show up more in line with your vision, mission and values and watch your staff become self-accountable.
Absolutely.
But it's a very different flip to, I guess, the traditional business model that's been done a certain way for so long. And in a way that I guess we've been brought up through school as well. Meaning that, we shouldn't be failing. We should be getting things right, immediate gratification and so forth. Business is a very different game.
Yeah, I think that in any team exercise, you're only as good as your weakest link. And for me, it's always understanding that you've got to constantly have connection with your leaders, the guys who self-coach themselves.
Yeah.
But the middle guys and the ones down the bottom who change the performance so much by an improvement in theirs, if you can help focus on them and, often, particularly in concreting. So in concreting in Victoria, there's no certification or no regulations. Right? There are in other parts of Australia, which is amazing. And I know that Victoria aren't far away from tracking towards that. In the next 12 months or 18 months, I know we're moving towards that requirement, which I love that. That's exciting for me because then it makes it real for everyone and everyone's got to stand up for what the standards should be. But, if we can get, if we can get 10% improvement out or 20% out of our bottom guy in a shorter period of time, in the long run, there's so much going on in our business at the moment because ever since I've been involved with the Game Changers, the idea of what my business offers has changed radically. Prior to going to the Game Changers 2 years ago, I hadn't even thought about what I was going to be doing when I was 65. But when it struck me that I may still be concreting, it became really clear, holy crap, do I really want this to be this? And again, like, I love concreting. I love what it does. It is physically tough, and I love that about it. But it takes good skill to do something well in anything that you do. So if in an unregulated space in Victoria, if I can get someone in, and anyone in the bottom tier of a team, anywhere, in any sport or any business, confidence is a massive issue. Self-esteem, confidence, self-belief, all of those things. So if we can create a pathway to help them build confidence through competency, and that we're supporting them to grow that way, and B, that we're ticking that off and they're gaining that belief in themselves that they add value in their contribution, then I can only see the benefit in the long run, as hard as it might be trying to execute that now.
Yeah. And that's, to me, where I see there's a big shortfall is, the entrepreneur gets into business or starts their business. Often, there's a few reasons, but often, they're involved, they're in the hustle and grind, they want to work hard and they get the reward. Yet that same attitude and mentality that gets you started is actually your Achilles heel when you go to scale and grow, right? You can't be at that $1 million mark, the 1.2, the 1.5 and still be grinding. You can, but you're massively limiting the growth opportunities of the business because you're not leveraging the assets you've created within your people and within your team. And this is why, I guess, like, regardless of where you're at, vision, mission, and values should be the first thing you think about going into business. Now, it's not something that's set and forget. You create them and then it's like they don't change. Your vision, mission, and values are constantly being updated, but they form the foundation and that pillar that everything else builds off. From there, we can set our goals. We can be clear of, well, what goals we're setting, because they underpin, they're underpinned to our mission and to our ultimate vision. From our goals, we can start creating teams and an organizational chart to start to align to achieve those goals. We can start to create position descriptions with KPIs to ensure that we're on track to achieve those goals. And then we can start to systematize that and put automation in place so we can start to scale more profitably without just throwing more men or more women at the problems or the challenges or the thing, which is what I see many business owners do. It's like, we're busy, let's just go and hire more staff. Yet there's so many inefficiencies, there's lack of profitability because they haven't gone and set the foundational thing up right. But it's something that we're not taught. It's like we're taught as being employees, which, most people don't leave high school and become an entrepreneur, right? They go through some sort of employment. And employment teaches us that we need to go and work hard to make money. The more work we do, the more money we get. We do extra hours, we get extra money. But that's not a successful mentality for running a business.
Absolutely not.
Right, that's a mindset that's cause for disaster. We have a couple of questions here I want to jump to now as well. If you're joining us live, welcome. So grateful to have you here on this Freedom Series episode. We're speaking to the amazing Haami Williams, who's been a good friend and a client of ours now for about 18 months. Phenomenal leader within the community at the Game Changers as well. Just an all-round amazing dude from Geelong in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Sam from Melbourne, Haami for sure knows the current situations of other SMEs in the area. What advice has he got for other businesses that want to go against the tide and do better despite most times of crisis?
What's he actually asking there?
What advice have you got for other businesses that want to go against the tide and do better despite the time of crisis? It's an interesting question because what tide are we going against? I guess it's a good point to put. Sam, thank you so much for your question. Appreciate it. Would love some clarity if you're still watching too.
Is Sam asking, because obviously, is he asking, because at the moment our industry is really challenged, I believe that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of undercutting and no regulation. So I think at the moment, it's a really challenging time. Like, the next 12 months is going to be super challenging, but you just have to be diligent to stay true and make sure that you keep. I believe that right now, the critical part of any business to maintain its strength through this time, especially in the concreting industry when change is not far away, is to be super connected with your network and your clients and your people. I think you need to maintain connection there. Don't be disconnected, and try and find like networks, people who are on the same path, trying to achieve that connects with you. And if that is raising the bar and the expectation in the industry as a whole, then that's what I believe.
And go back and check out Julius's episode from yesterday as well, because he was sharing that we're in the start of a downward trend. But the beautiful thing is, and I agree with what he shared as well, like now we're going to see who the true leaders are in business. Like it is unfortunate that over the next year or a couple of years, there's going to be a lot of people that lose businesses, that go broke, that don't survive this. That's life. Like life and death is part of this human existence that we have. But we are the ones that are, to a degree, like we are 100% in control of the choices we make. I don't think we're in control of our life, but we are in control of the choices we make. Yeah. And we have the ability right now to raise as leaders. But that doesn't happen through throwing a shitload of money in marketing or in sales. That comes from creating a fucking amazing culture in your organization, because an amazing culture is magnetic. People are drawn to want to work with companies that have a vibe. Right? That have a vibe and that are alive. And I think that we're going to see, and as Julius mentioned yesterday as well, we're going to see a huge shift where, a lot of companies that we see as big companies, successful companies, will fail to exist anymore because they haven't focused in the right area, which is on their network, which is on building their people. And you share, Haami, that things are tough times, but I also know that you guys are busier than you've ever been as well, and you've got a ton of work coming in. Yeah. And you don't have a website unless something's changed in the last 6 months. But you don't have a website. You're not running any paid advertising, right? It's all organic, but it's all based on who you guys are as an organization. And like anyone watching this right now, like tell me, that I'm sure there's coffee shops and there's cafes and stuff that you go to where the coffee's not necessarily the best and the food's not necessarily the best, but you go there because the service is outstanding, because they know you, because you feel like you belong there, and you keep going back there, even though you can possibly get cheaper coffee or cheaper food somewhere else. You go there because of the vibe, because of the feeling. People do business with people.
Yeah, I think, and we get some really good feedback. We have customers and supervisors that we work with who have really, they know that we have people who are growing. We don't expect amazing tradesmanship. We don't expect amazing leadership. But when they do something, they do something outstanding, they feed it back to us because they want our guys to know that. And one of the really great feedbacks...
They're on the journey, Haami. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. There's not this separation between like supplier and contractor. Like they're playing an active role in your business.
Absolutely.
They're providing feedback. You're welcoming and taking on board the feedback. You're calibrating based on the feedback. They're noticing the change. There's a momentum in the relationship.
Absolutely. And it's really our guys. Like, we get a lot of feedback about all of the guys on our team and their respect to the people that we work with. And that's a really, really important one. And, on aggression, I can't say I'm perfect all the time because I get frustrated at some things, especially if it is something that is really important to us that has failed us when it's been asked for multiple times. But I am really articulate and understand that everyone fails, and it is a process to get something achieved. And if we can help someone be better next time, then that's good. But we hope that all of our employees have the ability to communicate with our customers or their clients at a level that not necessarily the same as me, but in a way that's respectful, and that client walks away thinking, oh yeah, well, at least they know what they're doing, or they're good people. It's good that they're doing it for us.
Yeah. Relationships are fundamental. So to kind of circle back to Sam's question, first of all, be clear around why you might want to go against the tide. I'm all for zigging when everyone else is zagging, but for what purpose? Like, you need to understand why you're making a decision, because even the smallest shift in business can significantly affect the momentum that's behind you. And often in business, we do a lot of preparation, do a lot of planting, but it takes a while for us to, receive the fruits of our labor as well. And it's like, if you ever see that picture on Facebook or online on socials where, there's two people with pickaxes and one stops and you can see there's gold, just like a pick past the gold. The other guy kind of keeps going to find it. It's a funny meme, but it's so true. Like so many people go, and they stop just before they're about to receive the fruits of their labor. But I can't agree enough around what you said. I think that now more than ever is a time to build relationships. Had an amazing guest on this morning, Mary, who, you know, is a coach and all around personal branding and so forth. And it's a similar thing. Like she was sharing with me that their core market is on LinkedIn. She does a ton of business, all organic, but she's very, very niche specific in who she is and what she's after and who she serves. And she makes a stand for that. And again, she's busier than ever in this period of time because, you know, the beautiful thing is that when there is so much uncertainty in the environment, in the pandemic, in the global financial crisis, what's going on, people are craving for certainty. So if you can stand up as a leader and actually be certain in who you are and what you're about, have your team on the same wavelength as well, people are attracted to that.
Absolutely. And I want to just go back to Sam as well. Like going against the grain, I am an upstream person, 100%. Like I am an outside the box thinker. How can it be done better? Why is it like that? Every single time, everywhere I go, everything that I look at, is that being done as well as it can be? How can it be done better? And one of the things, and I don't know what Sam does, but concrete is an interesting game, right? There's a lot of great people in it. There's a lot of great people in concreting, and there's a lot of not great people in concreting, probably more in Victoria. But that's okay. But there is a really clear perception of what a concreter is. In globally, people have and particularly in Australia, if you tell someone you're a concreter, eyes go down. Oh yeah, you're one of those. Start drinking at 2:00. Blah blah blah. You know, but
1:30 if I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, the reality is the the decisions that we have to make and the things that we have to achieve in a day is beyond the comprehension of.
And you're up at 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning.
That's right. Is beyond comprehension. And one of the first goals I ever wrote down, and I am not a goal setter. I am not. I've never been good at that. It's been heart, North Star driven.
Yeah.
Follow what my heart says and just keep going that way. But one of the first things I ever wrote down was I want to change the perception of a concreter. That was one of the first things that I wrote down. And that's going to be, that will always be hard, but it will come.
Yeah.
It'll come and I'll get it done because, you know, we serve a critical role and we do it as well as anyone if we're allowed to.
Yeah.
And the history of what concreting is obviously still defines us a little bit.
Well, we need to change that
culture. We need to change that culture.
Yeah, your workload, your clientele, and your culture is testament to the amazing work that you guys are doing. And I guess I'd like to switch things up just like half a degree, and I want to talk about hiring as well because it's something that I speak a fair bit about in my book, The Path to Freedom. So I've spoken a bit about vision, mission, and values. That's great. We go through goal setting, we go through organizational chart, position descriptions, KPIs. And then we talk a lot about hiring because I just see so many business owners that struggle to hire good employees. And, the amount of new clients we get on board that are like, oh, you can't find good staff anywhere. And we teach them our way of hiring staff. And then like Angus Thurston comes to mind, who owns like a carpentry business.
Yes.
And, the guy took on board our methodology and finds killer talent time and time again for his trades business in Sydney. When people around him are like, oh, there's no good carpenters around here. Like you can't, all the good ones work for themselves. Like it's all bullshit. It's all belief systems that we have that prevent us from scaling and growing our business because we want to, I guess, control things in some way. If you're watching, welcome. Glad to have you here. Please hit the like button. Let us know you're watching. Post your comments or questions in there for Haami and myself. Love to get them answered for you as well. Really would love to know too, like what are you getting from today's conversation? It'd be really cool to hear some feedback from you guys as well. Haami, like the way that you've hired staff changed a lot. And I know that a huge turning point was when you first hired your integrator. And for those that haven't read the book, Rocket Fuel, I highly recommend it. It talks about the dynamic between integrator and visionary. I spoke to Sammy Yagi yesterday on the live stream. We spoke about that. I had my integrator on last week, Heather Disher. We spoke about that. Very, very crucial role, and was a game changer for you. Talk me through, like, I guess, how that has impacted your business and your life, having that person now that essentially is running the show for you, and freeing you from that kind of role operationally.
Well, you know, prior to the game changes, I hadn't thought about outside of running our operations beyond me or automating anything at all. I just used to do everything, and it was tiring. You know, 4:30 in the morning till 10 or 11 at night. Most days, until I'd crash, and then and then I'd
forced vacation.
Few days, yeah, that's right. 2 weeks off, sleep for the first week, recuperate for the second, back to work.
Yeah.
But so having, like, prior to going to the game changes, it was like, okay, we need to get someone, to come to site. So someone would say, oh, I know someone who's looking for a job. I'd say, yeah, okay, let's give them a day. And, you know, it was always verbal competence. And, you know, the last time I did a presentation, I spoke a lot about hiring for competence and firing on character. You know, and that's a big part of sort of our development plan coming up, is just making sure that competence and our character aligns in our industry and represents what our clients want. But so our process of, you know, hiring now is that no one is actually going to get in the door without having a face-to-face, going through the whole process of assessment. You know, when we hired Tom, he actually had to do like a task. He had a task to do before he came to the interview as an estimator. And then when he came in, he had to present that. We had 5 or 6, and he was the first one. And he came in, and I knew immediately that he'd be the one, because of, in terms of detail, I'd been doing it for years, but he went into way more detail than me. And I said, mate, I'm happy to have you on board. You've gone way too far. At least I can scale you back into where we need it to be.
Yeah.
And then obviously you start looking for particular skill sets to help you achieve what you want to do. And that was when I first had the conversation with Anita, and then we went through the process of interviewing her and her skill sets and her experience in building processes and systems and back end and, you know, management of operations. And that's been a really big step for me, because there was so much that we wanted to go forward with the business, and it never went forward. It just always stayed in the same place. And, you know, one of the big things for me is about one of the big goals for our business in the future is profit sharing or equity sharing, or a stake in our performance with our employees. And, you know, I've been talking about that since 2012, and it took no steps, went nowhere until we got Anita on board. And literally since then, we've taken giant steps in terms of getting coaching guidance with trying to nail it and get it in the right place. And also much more in depth of knowing our numbers and our financial plan for the next 12 months and even longer, and growth modeling and all of those sort of things. So and Anita is the one who gets it all done.
Yeah.
I'm the one who comes up with it. I stay focused on one thing and keep it rolling in that direction, dig in where I can. But when it comes to getting all the nuts and bolts screwed up, I'm not very good at nuts and bolts. I'm pretty good at putting it all together, but the nuts and bolts things where Anita's got to screw it down. Yeah.
Which is why too, like, your business prior to hiring those roles, and I guess doing some stuff that we went through had kind of hit that bit of a glass ceiling as well. Because, you know, there's only so much you could do, and there was a lot that you were doing that wasn't in the realm of your skill set. I'm curious to know, we had a couple of questions coming through. We'll get to those in a second. If you've got any last questions, guys, please put them in the chat below. How's your mindset shifted around, like, your belief in being able to find good staff now as a result of, you know, I guess going through this process, learning the hiring thing that we teach, you know, looking back to how maybe you thought about hiring staff 2 years ago and what you went through to kind of now? How's your mindset shifted, do you think, around your belief in being able to find good people and bring on good people and so forth?
Total 180 degree.
Mm.
180. Prior to, I mean, for me, it was just getting the job done. Like if I was on site, I need someone to help me get the job done. And it didn't matter skills or not. I just needed someone who I could educate and get them to help me. And it was easy for me to teach them and get them to do what I need them to do. But it's a different ballgame now. When anyone comes in to talk with us, we're really clear about what our values are and what our mission is and what we expect from them. And I know that all the guys who've come in with the new guys that we've picked up in the last 12 months, they're not real. They're a bit unsure. They're a bit, what is this place? Especially in the concreting industry, and just finding it challenging to understand after the experiences they've had previously.
Yeah.
But I don't, I think the whole industry is a week-to-week thing, and I want these guys to understand that they've got to look at their life beyond, because it's not going to be a long one in this game. So what vehicle can we give them to get a long way down the road?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Like, I guess a call out to any entrepreneurs that are watching this today that have maybe had battles with finding or hiring the right staff in the past. When I started writing the book, I wanted to, like, I think a lot of people, when they write books, they write books, but then you walk away with probably just as many questions you had when you started it. They're just different questions. And for me, because a big part of the book was around building a business that works without you, I went through and had my team create like an SOP, a how-to implement each chapter. And so when we go into hiring, we've actually created an SOP of how to hire. And we give you the scripts, we give you the questions, we give you the whole entire process that we actually use at the Game Changers to hire our team members. And we teach to you guys as well. So, if staff has been an issue for you guys in the past, click on the link below, put your details in, we'll keep you up to date when we release the book. I think we're doing a pre-release this Sunday, the 12th, and then officially on the 3rd of August, which is exciting. But I wanted to make it as easy as possible so business owners could buy the book and literally have everything, the templates. They've just got to put the things in place. No guessing. And not just, like, my recommendation would be to not just buy a book for yourself, but buy one for your team. Like Haami, the reason that you guys are so successful and our clients that follow the same methodologies, because they bring their team on board the journey. They educate them about vision, mission, values, systems, goal setting. Like, you guys run open book philosophy in your business. We do too. Like, my staff can ask me anything about any part of the business, numbers, profitability, and it's open book. So my recommendation is not just to get this for yourself, but to get a copy as well, give to your staff and go through. And it's like, okay, this week we're all going to read the vision chapter, and then next week's meeting we're going to discuss what do we learn, what do we get out of it, and take them on the journey with you. Because I think that, as Helen Keller said, like, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Like, bring your team on the journey, because you'll never build a business that works without you on your own. And this is why most business owners get to a point and get stuck, because they're trying to do it on their own.
And that's what I love about team.
Yeah.
Like, team requires a lot of strength and resilience. It really does. And it actually also requires tough exterior.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of stuff that goes on. But, if they really, I think I've said it before, but one of the great things I use as what was a thing that I read from Richard Branson was, we want to teach our staff to be able to run their own business. That's what we want them to be able to be a tradesman who can have his own business, but we want to create a model that means they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
And that's
it's like train them so well, train them so well so they can leave, train them so well so they stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love that. And I'm going to put a call out too for you, Haami. I guess if there's any concreters watching this that are in the Victorian area that maybe are looking for a company to work with that's inspired, that's tapped in and turned on, hit Haami at Wirecon Concreting Up as well. I'm sure there's always an opening for amazing staff. We're going to go to Tom's question from Sydney just before we wrap things up today as well. It's a tough question. If it's okay to ask, would Haami say that his business is recession proof? I mean, he's not too reliant on the property market just in case.
I wouldn't say that. Can anyone say they're recession proof?
Yeah, I'd say I don't think any business is recession proof, but I think that my mindset's recession proof. I think for me personally, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but regardless of what the market does, I know that I can always do well.
Yeah, I don't believe that if a certain market of our business recedes, that it's going to stop me from being able to do what I want to do.
That's right.
There's
And
no,
that's the difference. Like a particular model or product or aspect of the business is not recession proof, but to the right mindset, an entrepreneur will always find opportunity in any situation.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't. Success is success isn't something that I see as attainable or unattainable. I just know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way that I am.
Yeah.
I'm everything that I do is a learning, and the faster I do it and fail it, the more that I learn. Or every time I lose, however I see it, it's
Yeah.
a quicker way to the path.
Yeah. And yeah, as you said, resilience is so important as an entrepreneur. I remember a mentor said to me very early on, they said, you want to succeed twice as fast? Because I was like super impatient, super ambitious. They're like, just fail twice as quickly.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it took me a while to realize this relationship between, like failing actually equals succeeding. Like the only time I believe you truly fail is when you stop
Yeah.
trying. But as long as like you're learning stuff along the way, you're moving forwards. Like you might not be at your goal, you might not be at your dream lifestyle yet, but as long as you keep moving towards it every single day, even if some days you got to pick yourself up off the floor and crawl, you will eventually get there. And I guess that's the biggest thing, is developing that resilience as an entrepreneur, to be willing to get punched in the face and get back up again.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you know this, Barry, but in our third year of business, we had our most expensive ever lesson.
absolutely.
And it wasn't a quick one either. It was a
Yeah.
long, slow, painful one.
Which nearly defeated you too. Like that was just before we met. That pushed us to the edge, and through the support of your wife and your family and those around you, you mustered up enough, I guess, stamina and courage to step back in again. And that was when we met.
Yeah, well, it was a few years before that, but it was a long, painless time where I was super cautious, and I was like, why am I doing this? Do I really want to? And like I said to you before, I ended up doing a trip to Kokoda, which was a great experience for me because it was such an awesome physical experience. And it just made me think, what am I doing? Like, I've got to put my head on the line and go out and do it.
We just had an awesome comment come in from Mark. It's just like I'm actually, I don't know if you can see, I'm tearing up with inspiration. Mark, thank you so much for your comment. I'm not going to share it with Haami. No, just joking. Just a testament. Like, I love when this happens. So Mark said, after going through Haami's interview process, in my 20 years of concreting, he's the first business owner that I've worked for that has a mission statement. His vision for the industry and employees is why I joined his team. Like, I got fucking shivers on my arm reading that, because that's a testament, dude, of who you are and who you stand for. And I'm so grateful for who you are, for us and for our community, the Game Changers, and for your family, for your tribe, dude. Like that there, like fucking pat yourself on the back, because that's what you're doing this for. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you something about Mark, because I'm assuming that's Mark who's working with us.
It's Mark, yeah.
Right? But Mark was the thing that I loved about Mark, right, is he came to me and he was pretty honest. Like, he's been defeated by the monster that concrete is. You can see the sign on the back there. It's pretty much reflective of back pain, sore knees, broken heart.
I thought that was a bad relationship breakup. I thought that was like your...
But, the thing that I loved about Mark is, like, he wants to learn about youth support. That's where he's going. And, like, immediately I had a connection there, because I love supporting people who need support. That's what I love doing. I love helping people who need help, and I love guiding people to see things that they can't see yet.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, I love that. You're such an incredible human being. For the viewers and listeners out there, I'd love if you can support us and support. I think Haami's just got a heart of gold, and I think that if more business owners operated from the same place, the world would be a better place. And employees would be a lot happier going to work as well. So hit the share button, start a watch party, bring others in on the conversation. Please keep the comments going even after we switch off the live as well. We're more than happy to come back and answer them. Haami, have you got to ask or anything you'd like to kind of share before we wrap up? I've got one final small question, but anything you'd like to?
I've got something I'd love to share, right?
Yeah.
In my time, like, I loved joining the Game Changers. I knew the original sale. You know, I was actually in Kokoda when I got the call from Jack to tell me, listen, I've given you a number. Are you happy if I give your number away? And you know, the first thing I knew is that I wanted to go to the intensive. Right? I love the intensive. I love the energy of the intensives. I was a train wreck afterwards because there's so much energy, and it's super tough. Like having the online ones, it's so different because the thing that I love feeling is the energy of everyone and sharing mine. But in my evolution since TGC, it's been a huge wake up, and I learn things every week and I learn things every quarter at the intensives. But I meet some amazing people too, and my connection originally with TGC at that first intensive was with you and your story, right? And I've loved the chance to get to know you and actually be able to talk to you when I need to talk to someone about my crazy life. And but you know, relative to my business, the TGC model, what it's done is it's allowed my brain to expand to visions of what my business will look like beyond, you know, anything that I thought it would. And I just want to put it out there so people understand what the vision for my business is right now. They get it for what it is. So we are a concreting company, right? That's what it is. And we believe that we will grow and diversify in the industry, but we need to get our culture down and how we run our business and how our employees want to stay engaged. But we're developing like a graduate program because there's no training in Victoria. There is a Cert 3, but it's not mandatory. We're building like a training plan into our business, like a concreters graduate program. So it might go over 4 years, just like any trade. And we believe that someone who is ambitious enough can go from, I believe they can be running a team under our model within 4 years, and in 8 years running their own business, making really sound decisions. But we want to give them the opportunity to develop their competence and their skill levels, develop their maximum earning capacity, and then through my experiences with you, add in some education outside of that, so they learn to leverage their money they're making, because they often make good money, and it's a job for guys. That's a job for those 20-year-olds and going into their 30s. Like, it's the lifespan of a concreter isn't a long one.
Yeah.
I believe that if they go hard, like 15 to 20 years is the maximum. That is fair and reasonable. But we want to teach our guys to get to 5 years, then be able to earn enough money that they learn how to leverage their money, and then use other people that we've met to start investing money that they're making to make more, whether it's in property, and set themselves up. And, we've got someone in the team at TGC who started investing in property at 26 and retired at 37.
I think he's on later today. He's on today or tomorrow.
Is he, George? Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
Which will be awesome. And if anyone gets the chance to listen to him, listen.
Yeah, he's up this afternoon at 6:45 Perth time, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time here in Australia.
So, he's been great learning for me, and I know that he's been good for you. But if we can get someone into our team, I'll say it right here. We are looking for people. Right? We want people who want to come into a pilot program where we want to get them to start with us, and we want to retire them in 15 years. And George keeps telling me, don't tell them you want to retire them, because then they're gone. And I said, well, it doesn't matter, because I just want we want people who want to come in and they want to follow that path. And then when they can retire, they can invest their time into stuff that is going to express their full, appreciation for life, but also maybe give a bit back to us if we can.
Love it, Haami. Love your vision. If you love Haami's vision, hit the love button below. Last quick question before we wrap things up. Mate, if you were to give advice to the 10-year-old version of you, based on all that you know now and everything you've been through, what would you say to little Haami?
Don't get sucked in to having to go to work your whole life. Know what you want to do in your life and work out how to support it.
Love that. Love that. Haami, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on everything you do. Thank you everyone who's joining us live. Put any further comments below, hit the love or the like button, and look forward to seeing the next one in a few hours' time with George, who we just spoke about, who helps people retire through property and other amazing wealth generating strategies. Haami, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, like if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost if you get through. All that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forwards and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world. And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session, make sure you follow us on social, and start to date with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William. Thank you so much for your support and look forward to seeing the next one. Bye for now.